If you look inside of the sources file, you will see the debug.py file. Now if you open that, you'll see the code exactly the same as what I've got here. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you debug syntax errors within Python. So if we run the code, you'll see that we get this little error here saying syntax error, invalid syntax. And then we get this little circumflex or a caret pointing towards the equal sign. Now if we go back into our code, and if we look in here in more detail, it tells us that it's on line 2. So if we come back to line 2, then we can see that we've got if name equal Alex. And that's declaring something to be equal. It's not conditional, it's not checking, so it has to be 2 equal signs. And so that caret sign there has actually pointed us to the correct location of the error. And if we run that again, you'll see that we get a different error, but this one is now no longer an error. And now this error here is pointing towards the final quote. And you'll realise that I didn't actually set the colon to be set there, which is what declares a block for the if statement. So if we now put a colon in and run it again, you'll see that it's now working, but it's going down into our other area. Now this one is an unusual one, because it's pointing towards the T on the print, which there isn't actually an error here. What we are actually looking at is the line before, or 2 lines before, and we've got an odd number of brackets here. Now we've got 2 opening and then 1 closing, which leaves 1, then 1 more opening, which makes it 2 again, and then -1 to 1. We need to add another 1 to make it back to 0. And if we run that, now we get an unprecedented indent, and the reason for that is because it's now indented too far in. And in Python, you have to indent to show a code block. So if something's indented when it shouldn't be, or something isn't indented enough, then it won't work. So if we undo that indent, then we get it to finally recognise that we need to put brackets around here because print is a function. So as you can see, before when it was pointing at the T, it actually should have been pointing at the K here, and we should have noticed that there wasn't the correct number of brackets here. And obviously, because Python's an interpreter, it's doing its best to tell us. However, we do need to still look at it and work out what the actual answer is. And so if we put the brackets around that, save it again, and run. Oh, and I made a mistake there anyway in the code. That should have been an I. Sorry about that. There we go, and run that again. Then we get 95. The reason why that error was there before with the K is because we were trying to add on a number which we hadn't actually set. So here we were doing K is equal to I times J, which is fine, and then the result of that plus J plus K. Now K doesn't actually have a value, it hasn't been set, so you can't put your answer towards that, and that is why I've just changed that to I, because it should have been I initially. In your file it will now be I, so don't worry about that. Okay, so now you can see that the final answer now is 95, which if we did that on a calculator would be correct, and that is how you debug syntax errors within Python.